What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Teej pack. Teej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliate and scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Teej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Teej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a Dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Teej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a Dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Teej pack. Feel the Teej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. What up, Chasers? Welcome to the second week of 2024. It's a great week. Did y'all know that the week actually starts on Sunday and that Saturday is actually the Sabbath? Yeah, I bet a lot of y'all didn't know that. What's going on, Chasers? Antonio Watkins, Peter Investor, Jack Covington, the third. My dog Kojak, true to myself, is in the building, Trap and Slay. I seen y'all hanging out with my guy old Freezy. I seen y'all hanging out with Freezy, Trap and Slay. Mr. Nice One, Sabrina, Ace Boom Coon, Social Media Sis, Danistar, Treese, what up? Nurses Ain't Nice, what up? Chris Stevens, Ash, my dog Mary Lazo, Joe Gunn, Blake Fields. Boss Life Trucker says, big up AD. What up? Sabrina, big one M Dub. Yeah, Travis, like you didn't know, I knew. Fi Brown, what up? Kahari West. Yeah, Dynamic Mentality, Next Level MF. Let me go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way. But before I do so, Toy Bands, I need y'all to give me one word inside of the chat of how y'all feeling. What up, Nola Grillin? What up, Nola Grillin? Give me one word inside of the chat of how y'all feel going into the second week of 2000. Look, we only got 51 weeks left. We only got 51 weeks left. How do y'all feel? One word. Prince Elian, what up? Slan Sells Cars. Gerald, what up? Brittany B, what's going on? Give me one word inside of the chat. Rejoice, great. Focused, peace and blessings, amazing, blessed, creative. What up, Fairy? Motivated, positive, feeling great, trucking, blessed, productive, cooked, hopeful, phenomenal, optimistic, says Abby. Determined. What up, Abby? Amazing, productive, blessed, fervent, focused, motivated, perplexed, optimistic. Cat Williams. Healthy, hypergamy, focus, slippery. What up, our streets? BC says tired, unleashed. Michael Morris said inspired, somber, enduring, motivated. What up, Miami-Dade County? Phenomenal, hypergamy, good, cool, ready to improve. Goal setting, hypergamy, recharge, sick, determined, innovative, informed. We here like him, says Jeremy Rogers. Grinding, fantastic, elevated, blessed, sick, grateful, more hard work. All right, spiritual, said Brianna. Okay, we here. All right, well, let's get to it. We got a whole show to put together today, or we got a whole show prepared for you guys. You know what we do. First of all, let me give a shout out to my dog, Kahari West, with that 30 ball on Cash App. Also want to give a shout out to my guy, Mike That Dude on Cash App. Thank you for holding me down and supporting the platform. I will be reading these throughout the show, including the super chats and all of that stuff. We don't ask for them. Let me be very, very clear. We don't ask for super chats or cash apps. What we do is, Anton, I have all the men in my life that I love listening to you. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. I appreciate you, Abby. But what we do is we just try to show love and appreciate everybody that support the platform. So we do not ask for it. All we ask for is your subscriptions and your likes, and for you to share this with your family and friends and anybody that you know that could utilize this information to do better in their life. We do ask that if you want to do and grow to be even better than you are, I released a video inside of the Patreon. And let me apologize because I decided to move the stock club to the second week of the month. So we're going to do it once a month, second week of the month. Because I don't want to be overwhelmed. I want to go into these things relaxed. I want to make sure that I'm giving great information, that I have all my presentations together, that you guys can participate the way that you need to. So we released a video over this weekend, and I broke down. It's a very, very informative video. You guys need to get into it. It's a real estate video, and it goes into the investing side of it, the 3 types of investors, the 3 ways that you can get into real estate investing. What I do, I also take you through a mini tour of my current build, and it's literally starting to look like a house. Mary Lazo said you saw it. It was great. Yeah, so I decided to move it to the second week because I don't want anything to impede on what we got going on, and I want to make sure that we all structure and we set up. So Stock Club is actually going to be this weekend. So just to give you guys an update, and so if you want to grow and grind and evolve into a better space than you have been, and you want to join the Bag Chasers and the Patreon members, that link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Peter Investor said Cat Williams was genius for Shannon, using Shannon's platform to attack his enemies. Yeah, I think he was. I think he was a genius for doing it, but I don't agree with 100% of what Cat Williams is saying, and I'm going to break that down. After hours, it's going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays is after hours. I'm going to reserve the weekends for myself and the Bag Chasers. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays will be after hours. So we're going to be live streaming late night, probably somewhere between 10 and 12 is when we'll start it on the After Hours channel. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Tonight, we got the Hey Q show. And I think Q is still on vacation, so we still going to be cooking up like we did last week. And then Monday through Friday, you know, we got Millionaire Morning Show, so we going to rock out, all right? Y'all ready to get started with the show? Let's get it popping. Housekeeping out of the way. Get that Teach Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Sponsor the show all year. We appreciate you, Teach Hanley. Let's go ahead and get started with Quick Hits, ladies and gentlemen. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think needs individual segments, but we want to keep you guys informed on what's going on across the nation and across the world. Thank you, Thornton. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. Miami-Dade County Clerks, I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly also. Thank you, my friends. Let me go ahead and bring you guys up to speed of what's happening with After Hours. Or I'm sorry, Quick Hits. The United States Defense Secretary is under scrutiny and fire for a lack of transparency. Take a look.
ABC News is learning the new timeline in Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's illness as questions swirl about when the president was told. A defense official says Austin left the hospital on December 23rd following an elective procedure. He was then readmitted on January 1st and admitted to intensive care. ABC's Ike Ejachi is in Washington with the very latest.
Tonight, the extraordinary breach of protocol after top Pentagon officials, members of Congress, and even the White House were all unaware of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's hospitalization this week. A Pentagon official telling ABC News tonight that while on leave on December 22nd, Austin had what was described as a minor elective procedure at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, returning home the next day. More than a week later, after experiencing severe pain, he was admitted to the ICU on New Year's Day. Still, it was not until Thursday, 3 days later, officials say, that the White House was informed. A U.S. official telling ABC News President Biden was exasperated after learning about Austin's lack of transparency. Austin issuing a statement this weekend, writing, "I recognize I could have done a better job ensuring the public was appropriately informed." Biden and Austin speaking Saturday night on the phone, officials saying the conversation was warm. And tonight, ABC News learning from a U.S. official that General C.Q. Brown, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, knew of Austin's hospitalization on Tuesday, 2 days before the White House and other top U.S. officials were made aware.
It's pretty shocking on this because when you're the Secretary of Defense, you need to make everyone aware that you're actually going to be out of pocket.
And Lindsay, a U.S. official telling ABC News that even Secretary Austin's deputy, his number 2, Kathleen Hicks, was not informed in advance of his medical procedure and was on vacation in Puerto Rico, literally in the water, when she was taken back to a secure location.
It seems like everybody that's in our legislature or in leadership positions for the United States of America is on vacation, even after the holidays. That's weird. But everybody was basically pissed off. They try to act like, oh, no, it was a warm conversation. And shout out to Brian Hunter. I'm going to read that Cash App shortly. But realistically, the White House was absolutely pissed, and they said that they're going to review the process and procedures surrounding Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's hospitalization last week and make changes if necessary. But President Joe Biden has no plans to fire him. Well, of course he can't fire the black Secretary of Defense because he elected to do a procedure. That will be bad press, right? It's not about who does the job the best. It's about whether or not it'll make you look good, especially going into election season. He says, we will obviously, I think, as you might expect, we'll take a look at the process and procedure here and try to learn from this experience, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters on aboard Air Force One. He said if there are changes required following that review, the White House would implement them. I think that there's an expectation that when a cabinet official becomes hospitalized, that will be notified up the chain of command. There is that expectation. They said that Biden retains confidence in Austin and looks forward to seeing him return to the Pentagon. Now, I don't know what city this man is from. I don't know what he thought was going to play out, but I try to figure out why people do some of the things that they do. It does not make sense to me, but he decided to have an elective procedure and was admitted to the hospital, including the ICU, and he didn't think that anybody would notice. Anyways, moving on, Taraji P. Henson continues to take over the news, and she said that she fought to have drivers take the Color Purple cast to the set instead of them giving them rental cars. Now, I heard that it costs upwards of like $100 million to make the recent Color Purple, and they're nowhere near of clearing that budget, but neither here nor there. In a new interview, the Empire alum revealed that producers of the film gave the cast rental cars to take themselves to set of the production. However, Henson said she fought to get a driver due to it being an insurance liability. She goes on to say, they gave us rental cars. Now, okay, I'm informed enough, and I tapped into some people over the weekend to find out what really happens, and I guess this is a normal thing for actors to actually drive themselves to set, similar to how you guys drive yourself to work. Neither here nor there. But she says, they gave us rental cars, and I was like, I can't drive myself to set in Atlanta. This is insurance liability. It's dangerous, and now they robbing people. Henson recalled during an interview with the New York Times. She says, "What do I look like taking myself to work by myself in a rental car?" She goes on to say, "So I was like, can I get a driver or security take me? I'm not asking for the moon." They're like, "Well, if we do it for you, we got to do it for everybody." She continued, "Well, do it for everybody. It's stuff like that, stuff I shouldn't have to fight for. I was on a set of Empire fighting for trailers that wasn't," well, she goes on and all of that. Henson noted that these situations wear on her soul because you fight so hard to establish a name for yourself and to be respected in this town to no avail. She says, "With black films, they just don't want to take us overseas. And I don't understand that. Black translate all over the world. So why wouldn't the movies? I have a following in China of all places. Y'all not going to capitalize off of that? Don't everybody want to make money here? I'm not the person that pulls the race card every time, but what else is it then? Tell me. I'd rather not it be race, but please give me something else." I don't anticipate necessarily seeing Taraji P. Henson in any future movies except for maybe on Tubi, because it seems like she's a diva and getting the reputation of being very difficult to work for. But, we'll continue to cover that on After Hours on Tuesday night. And then last but not least, there's a... I'm sorry. As soon as I pull up this picture... It's a Houston rapper. I think his name is Viper. Fam, listen, y'all. Once you get past a certain age, you're going to have to give up rap. And I know this is not necessarily a good story. This is actually a bad story. He's a popular Houston rapper named Viper. And I've never heard of this guy before, but apparently some of y'all have in the chat. Shout out to the chat. Whenever you missing all of this and you only got this back here and on the sides, it's time to give up hip hop, yo. It's time to give up hip hop. Anyways, Viper is out here stealing women. Yeah, Viper is out here stealing women. Check it out, y'all.
ABC 13 broke this next story. A man arrested accused of holding a pregnant woman against her will for years. And tonight, police have a new problem. They can't find the alleged victim of this man, Lee Carter. After our news team called with questions, officers rushed over and busted open the house in Southeast Houston. ABC 13's Pooja Lodia is live with the very latest. Pooja.
Eric, Houston police say they've been trying to get in contact with this victim for 2 days now. They worry she could be in danger after being locked up in this home here behind me for years. We have also learned that the suspect is a well-known Houston rapper with a large social media following. Police move in, smashing through a window and opening a door. They're looking for a woman they believe had been locked up here for years.
We were very concerned that there could have been somebody in there that needed immediate assistance.
Inside, they found a dog, an empty mattress, and a deadbolt that closed from the outside. The TV was still on.
The cops come banging on my door at one point, maybe almost a year ago now, claiming that someone had called from inside the house and was kidnapped or was not able to leave on her own. And right then, as the cops are standing at my door, a gal comes crawling out that window just there with the boards over it, just clawing her way out, pregnant, 8 months.
The man who owns the house, 52-year-old Lee Carter, was arrested at a nearby motel yesterday. The accusations against him are so concerning. A judge cleared the room today before reading aloud court documents and setting his bond at $100,000. Carter is accused of picking up a pregnant woman while she was panhandling in South Houston. then bringing her here. The woman told police Carter locked her up, raped her, and forced her to take drugs, including pills and crack cocaine, for 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years is crazy. 4 to 5 years and forcing somebody to take crack is crazy, fam.
Court documents don't show if she ever gave birth, and if she did, what happened to the baby. Neighbors say they saw her sometimes.
He would back his car up to the shop, load her up, and back up to the door of the front of the house so she could bathe.
Houston police confirm receiving 8 calls for service to the house in the past year. The woman said police took her to the hospital multiple times, but she said the suspect would always later pick her up and bring her back to the home. In April, the woman messaged police for help through his laptop. When they arrived, they say she was filthy and weighed only about 70 pounds. Carter was gone. He's a real estate broker whose attorney today said is currently working on his Master's of Business Administration.
It makes me sick as a human being, and I can tell you as a police department, we are here for the citizens of Houston. We're here for the community, and we're here to make sure that this individual and her family gets justice.
So I'm going to keep on top of this. The police is apparently looking for this woman. He hasn't disclosed the location. They're saying that he kept her locked up for over 5 years. I don't know how nobody knows what's going on. I know all of my neighbors that's inside of my building. So I don't know. Either we got a lack of community or these people are just demonic. And the fact that he's working on his master's in business administration and he's a real estate broker and over here being Jeffrey Dahmer is crazy. So I'm going to stay on top of this. Houston is the new demonic hellhole, I guess, and they taking the reins over from Atlanta. Nobody can quite top Chicago at the moment, but ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits. Let me read some of these super chats and we're going to continue over with the show. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to my dog, Brian Hunter, on Cash App. I appreciate you, big dog, for the 5-ball. Thank you, Brian. It is absolutely positively a blessing for what it is that you're doing for the platform. Let me give a round of applause to Miami-Dade County Clerk of Courts. Super chat says, much love, AD, from the MIA. Glad you were here recently to visit us. Wish you and your family an amazing year. Thank you, my friends. I appreciate you. That is a unique username on YouTube. You are absolutely positively appreciated. Thank you for the 50-ball. Thornton Mellon III says, a man with no debt is a rich man. Thanks, AD. You can climb that mountain much faster if you ain't got rocks inside of your backpack. LLC says, the officials process her, but when the medical records stop being a person's private business outside of their jobs, what happened to our country's HIPAA laws all of a sudden? LLC, I'm going to need you to go ahead and clean that up. I appreciate you for the 10-ball. I'm going to need you to clean that up, big dog. We got to use periods, sentences, commas, periods in our sentences, commas, the whole thing, right? AL says there's a 70-year-old rapper, Lima Beans, and he got oh, my God. Oh, AL. J. Ben says Viper looks like an alternative universe Gilly. It's crazy. Who got a huge shout out? Nurses ain't nice. Who got a huge shout out? I need to know what y'all got going on out in these streets. Let me see what's going on. Bro just got a huge shout out. Who got a huge shout out? Nurses, what's going on, baby? Who shouted me out? Who shouted me out, nurses, before we get into the show, before I start deep diving into the show? Oh, man. Who shouted me out, nurses ain't nice, before we get into the show? Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, Teach Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Ladies, get it for your fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. Make sure you get it for yourself. Also, for all of y'all that be trying to talk to my cousins, they be calling me. Anton, this guy told me that he want to make sure that I'm submissive. And he told me to go and watch your videos. He didn't even know that I used to babysit you when you was younger. Shout out to everybody that be talking to my cousins out here in these streets, man. Trying to make sure that my cousins is submissive. Don't worry. I'm teaching them. I got her. I got you. I got you. They be calling me, Anton. They gonna tell me to watch this video that you did. Let me go ahead and get into the show, man. Apparently, they boarding up homes and facilities with people still inside of them, and black people are mad also over in San Francisco about the fact that the stores are starting to close up and it's becoming a food desert. I warned y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
A building deemed unsafe but still inhabited is being boarded up. The question, how did workers not notice the tenants still living inside? Fox 32's Nate Rogers is in Harvey today getting both sides of this very bizarre story. Nate?
The city of Harvey says families were notified that their apartments here could no longer be occupied because of safety concerns, but nobody here was ready for this. Their apartments boarded up with folks still inside.
I'm beating on the thing like, Rudolph, you're in here, you can hear him clearly from inside saying, yeah, I can't get out. Rudolph.
Yeah, they broke off the handle.
They broke the handle off the door? Yeah. And you stuck up in there? All right, hold on.
That's the voice of Rudolph Williams, confined to his apartment after it was boarded up while he was still inside. His pleas for help now viral on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, there's an old man boarded up in this apartment right here. There's someone still in this apartment. How are he going to get out?
So you were literally trapped inside?
Yes.
In a statement from the city of Harvey, owners were notified of a mandatory evacuation by October 28th, citing the building's structural integrity had surpassed life expectancy. Also, numerous 911 calls of illegal activities at the property located 144th and Halsted. In December, residents received this letter after the building department determined the properties posed an imminent safety risk due to deterioration of balconies and staircases.
I didn't hear anybody knock on the door after this morning.
Now,
Rudolph. Hold on, Rudolph. You knew you wasn't supposed to be in there. You knew that you wasn't supposed to be in there. They had notified the residences of these facilities. They notified the residences of these facilities back in October. In December, they said they coming to close it up. In January, they start boarding it up. And you decided that you didn't want to answer because you was in there squatting and living and trying not to pay no rent. And you was in there doing God knows what. And then when they boarded it up, you wanted to play victim. No, don't blame the city. Don't blame the people that boarded it up. Rudolph, you was in there unauthorized. And they had already told y'all to go ahead and get up out of there. But Rudolph, you want to hang out in places that you ain't supposed to be in? Okay. This is what's called F around and find out. See, I'm being conscious today because I know that the church be watching the live stream and the daycares is out here popping. Shout out to all of my truck drivers. Rudolph was, listen, if you know, you know. Julian, you know. If you know, you know. You know Rudolph said that he wasn't coming out of there and he was like, oh, everybody left and that means I got a whole location for us to be able to hang out in. Yeah. Talking about, oh, they boarded me up and I didn't know what was going on. Boy, you knew what was happening out here in these streets. You ain't confused. You are not confused until you couldn't get out. They did that boy like Amsterdam. A lot of people not familiar with Amsterdam. You know what Amsterdam is? Amsterdam is just for The Wire. From The Wire. Y'all go watch that.
Non-occupancy orders posted on more than 30 units. Friday afternoon, apartment windows indoors were boarded up. Residents say at least 5 families were still inside and or had their belongings still in place.
No, that's not okay. No, under no circumstances. No. No, nowhere in the world is that okay.
This was a brain tumor that was removed in May of 2020, and my breast was removed March of last year.
Mary Brooks has lived in her apartment 4 years. She's currently battling metastatic breast cancer, and her boxes are already packed. But so far, she has nowhere to go.
Already been looking for places. I'm even crazy enough to dream that some type of way I might end up living in a house again. Okay, maybe I won't own it, but I've been looking for an apartment and a house that I could rent through Section 8. That's all I could do, but what can I do? I can't make any plans.
This is a bigger issue, and we're going to address this later on in the show. We're going to address this later on in the show. And what we're going to address is the earnings, inflation, and why no matter how much money that you make, you are still living check to check. And this is the expectation for a lot of people. Obviously not you guys over at the Bag Chasers, because I know that y'all subscribe to the Patreon. I know y'all tune in every day and you're doing the thing that's best for you. I know you're not putting off making sure that you make the right investments and filling up in your 401k and then lowering your lifestyle now so you can have a great time and really be able to do what you want to do as you get older and you age, and as you start to not be able to work as often or as much, or when you start to have your knees hurting and your back starting to hurt a little bit, you can pull back some. You can pull back some. And I know that this is a bigger conversation because the first thing that everybody is going to say was, well, we got to do something for her. But here's my question to this woman, right? This woman right here. As much as we want to feel sorry for her, how often do we question the decisions that they made earlier in life? Because this is what your future looks like. Getting boarded up in a facility that's been condemned and unsafe for you to continue to live at. And you're going to sit here and keep trying to dream about the possibility of getting another apartment or possibly living in a house one day when you have the opportunity to make the changes now. You have the opportunity to make the changes now. So we don't go back into somebody's past and try to figure out why they made the decisions that they made. We just erase their past and say, oh, look at how bad the government, and look at how bad the legislators, and look at how bad the people around us, and look at how bad the system has done this for people. But you have the opportunity to do the right thing in your best interest right now. But you want to mortgage your future in order to make sure that you support your current circumstances and how you feel right now, instead of mortgaging right now so that you can have a phenomenal time in the future. And so you can dream all you want. You can dream as much as you want. But you are limited by the requirements of Section 8. And if I ever become president of the United States of America, all of that is going away. Section 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 is going away. If I ever become president of the United States of America and I can control Congress and all of our legislature, you better believe it's all going away. We're going to have a budget surplus. We're going to be paying down debt. We're going to be doing the right thing. We're going to be getting away all of these social programs, because this is your future. When you decide that you don't want to do the thing that's in your best interest, then you start forcing your kids to become a son husband. There are people that have children just so their children can take care of them when they get older. That's their plan. There are people that have children so that they can have a retirement plan. Their plan is their children. That's why they have as many as they possibly could be, because maybe one of them is going to be successful, and then they don't have to be able to do this. I'm telling you, this is real. And I see people on social media all the time, when somebody don't have children, they choose not to have children. Well, who's going to take care of you when you get older? That is not supposed to be your children's burden. That's not supposed to be your children's burden.
I could rent through Section 8. That's all I could do. But what can I do? I can't make any plans.
And the city of Harvey says they're continuing to work with property management as well as residents to help find a solution to this crisis. That is the latest here in Harvey. Nate Rogers, Fox 32 Chicago.
And then going forward, you're going to see what this next story is.
critical store. This is like the store for all the elderly in the neighborhood. They can walk over here. There's no stairs. Easy in, easy out.
It's not helping the black community. It's not helping the homeless. It's not helping us at all.
Tonight, it's the very real human cost of a neighborhood closure. The Safeway in San Francisco's Fillmore district is set to shut down. And the community.
DLC says, still a question, AD. Who's going to take care of these old people? You don't want to know the answer to that. You don't want to know the answer to that. Please don't ask me questions that you don't want to know the answer to, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth. Don't ask questions that you honestly don't want to know the answer to.
Community says it's more than just a bag of groceries. Neighbors in the Fillmore and Western Addition neighborhoods are still angry tonight, saying if this plan goes through, it will have long-term negative implications on the city's black community. The announced closure for that store in the heart of the city on Webster Street came late last week. Tonight, ABC 7 News reporter J.R. Stone is hearing the calls from neighbors and community leaders and brings us this story.
In less than 2 months, this Safeway grocery store will close, according to executives.
You're gutting it. You're just gutting the neighborhood.
Community members are outraged, saying seniors and handicapped individuals have been forgotten about. Those with Safeway say they have entered into an agreement to sell the 3+ acre site to a real estate company for a mixed-use development project to include housing and commercial retail space.
They need to really do things about taking things from the inner city that we need, and then you're developing housing. Housing for who? The homeless?
Nope. Housing for people that want to pay a premium price, because we live not only in a capitalistic space, but Safeway. A lot of people are not familiar, but Safeway, especially that location, has been experiencing a extremely high theft rate. Let me say it again. An extremely high theft rate. And so because they're not profitable, the first opportunity that they got in order to get the heck up out of there without taking a huge loss was to sell that boy. What happened to that boy? What happened to that boy? He was talking, we put a clap into that boy. They getting up out of there. Listen, nobody owes you anything, especially when you don't hold the people accountable in your community, and when you continue to vote a certain way, when you continue to protect little man and he out here stealing, killing, and destroying. And then this is what we hear within the community. We hear, well, it ain't my money, mind your business. It ain't your products, what you doing getting involved? And then they be like, all right, cool. We're going to close up the whole store. We're going to get up out of here. We're going to continue to make it a food desert. And then you're going to say, I can't believe this is happening in the community. What are they doing in the community? What are the old people and the handicaps and the poor people going to do over here? How we going to survive? This is the only place that don't have no stairs. All they got is ramps. We can get our groceries. We can get everything we need from over here at this Safeway. Never mind the fact that they're not making no money. Never mind the fact that we just keep on stealing. And never mind the fact that the person that steals from it is my nephew, Man. We need help in the community, and we don't want nobody to close up the stores that's not making no money, that we not actually supporting within the community. Remember when we used to protest over here? Hey, Mabel, remember when we used to protest over here? And especially when George Floyd died and we wanted to burn up the neighborhood, and we knew it was going to become a food desert, and we also burned up that AutoZone out there. Boy, if y'all don't start suffering for the ills and the woes of what you doing inside of your community, we don't care. And then how come all old people wear their head like this? And then their glasses are down here. Let me tell you something, Mabel. I remember when we used to have a Safeway over there, and it wasn't safe. I don't know why they made it named Safeway. And it should have been named Deathway. Why are they glasses and every single old person don't look through their glasses? Every single old person don't look through their glasses. I don't know why their head is like this and their glasses is like this. Makes no sense. Why are you looking at me like this? Okay. That's exactly what you can look for in your neighborhood. And no, you're not going to run and you're not going to move out and you're not going to do what you want to do. You going to keep doing what you want to do when you want to do it. And then you're going to keep on looking at me like this. Now you want to go to the community meeting. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late for what you got going on in your community.
You need to do better than that.
It is a destruction of a community.
And those thoughts from...
And everybody that's on here, every single person that's on here that's talking is old. Old. Old, old, old.
Dr. Amos Brown of the NAACP are echoed by those that live in the Western Addition, who believe this will directly impact low-income Black and Asian communities.
Good.
Mayor London Breed told our partners at the SFC...
And our legendary, remember when I brought her to the front of the congregation? She was over there spending all of her time championing alphabet community agendas and having all of them at her inauguration. Always some woman that's running a community down.
Standard, this is a real and rare opportunity to add a significant amount of new homes in this part of our city and even a new grocery store. But plans for a new grocery store have not been solidified, and community members we spoke with took target at the mayor.
And for London to not even fight for the Black community, to have the store stay here for the Blacks, it seems like they're just moving all the Blacks out.
No, ma'am. You destroyed your own neighborhoods. You did it. You destroyed your own neighborhoods. It wasn't they. Ain't no they. Who are these theys that I'm not familiar with? Who are these theys? Every time I hear somebody that tell me they did it or they moving all of the Blacks out, boy, don't you know they moving all of the whites out too? They don't care nothing about you. This is a this is a capitalistic country, and when you decide that you wanted to do it the way that you wanted to do it, and every time they push their glasses, it don't go up. Just do like this. They act like they pushing it up, and ain't really pushing up. This is an issue about the haves and the have-nots, and usually the people that don't have, they have the same mindset. And so they always want to blame it on they. But let me tell you something. They is you. If you're talking about the people that's creating a space that then make it easy for people like me to come in and gentrify it, it's you. It's Man. It's YSL's crew. Young Thug's crew and them. They was over there tearing up the neighborhood. Listen, I can't wait. You know what I'm doing now? What my next move is, what I'm going to teach the bag chasers? It's how to run down the neighborhood and how to make sure that we can gentrify it for a cheaper price. Yeah, we're going to buy everything. We're going to let all of the neighborhood depreciate. As you continue to sell grandmama's house and let it be run down, I'm going to tear it down. I'm going to make it a parking lot. I'm going to make sure that I keep the grass cut so y'all can't put no bodies in it. And then once all of the rest of the neighborhood, y'all finish tearing the rest of it up, I'm going to buy everything and then I'm going to charge top dollar for it. People have been doing it for a whole long time. Why not I do it? Why I can't do it? Y'all helping gentrify your neighborhood by running the prices down, not cutting your grass, not holding your kids accountable. Why not? Why not? They're not making no more land. So I'm just going to make sure that I buy up your land that you don't want because you don't see value in it because you think it's the hood, and then I'm going to change it to something else and then I'm going to move you out. Because you don't care about it. Yeah, and I'm going to add an HOA fee to it. They don't care about black people.
So you're blaming the mayor on this?
I blame London.
Look, even the person that's interviewing him is the mayor. Oh, you blaming the mayor on this one? I can't even hold London accountable because I know that y'all did it on your own. It ain't nobody. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never internal.
Like they're just moving all the blacks out.
So you're blaming the mayor on this?
I blame London because I think London should have done more. She was raised in this area.
Supervisor Dean Preston's office says they reached out to Safeway and the developer to explore the possibility of including a grocery store as part of any planned development at the site.
They need to stop the car, slow things down, and permit this black community to get aboard and include us.
The closure of this store means that shoppers will have to travel more than a mile to another Safeway or Lucky supermarket.
Oh, God, not a whole mile that you got to travel to in order to go and make sure that the black community still got groceries. Not a whole mile. You telling me you got to travel a whole mile to go to the next grocery store because y'all robbed this one? Good God, you are going way, way out of your way. You got to travel a whole mile? Not 1 mile. Not a whole 0.93 kilometers. A whole mile? Not a whole one. Y'all people are amazing to me. You are amazing to me. We got to do more to make sure the black community is taken care of. Man, you know what the community can do for you. You know what the culture can do for me. That's what the culture can do for me. Shout out to the culture. LLC is in the building again. He says, AD, I'm sorry for the bad grammar in the last one. I was asking why Biden can demand his staff share their. Look at the difference between. Hold on. I'm going to show you the difference between LLCs. To LLC, I got to bring you to the front of the congregation. Hold on. This is your first one. The officials procedure, but when did medical records stop being a person's private business outside their jobs? What happened to HIPAA laws? It's supposed to be HIPAA, HIPPAA laws all of a sudden, and then you cleaned it up, which means that I know that you was just being lazy. You just said, AD, sorry for the bad grammar in the last one. I was asking why Biden can demand his staff share their medical procedures with him, and isn't that against our HIPAA laws? We need to add another P in there, but I get you. You deserve a clap. And no, it is not HIPAA laws for you to notify. That's just like you being at your job and saying, hey, I need to be off. Because when you're the national security secretary, the defense secretary, it's probably important for you to let people that you're going to be off. It don't have nothing to do with sharing his medical records, but it has everything to do with saying, hey, I'm going to be undergoing a procedure. I need to be off for a few days because this is elective surgery, not an emergency surgery, elective surgery. This is important for me to go and take care of my business. See, y'all keep putting yourselves in this position. Thank you, my friend. Y'all keep putting yourselves in the positions like they regular civilians. This is the defense secretary of the United States of America that's sitting right next to the leader of the free world. This ain't you calling off from the call center. This is not being on the line. Oh, it's 1P, 2 A's. I got you. Thank you. This is not you calling off from your regular job. This is you actually being accountable for the fact that we probably need to make sure that we got all of the defenses of America or have things set in place just in case you don't make it through your elective surgery, right? So y'all can't have these normal expectations on great jobs. Like, this is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Ms. Lady J, what's up, Ms. Lady J says, what up, though? AD, how long is that waitlist for a culture call? I need one ASAP. Let me see. It shouldn't be that long. You sent an email? Send another email, baby. Because we going through the people. We actually getting people set up. We got a lot of new coaching calls. Send me another email, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on top of that. All right? Thank you, Ms. Lady J. Who is at the door? Yeah, send me another email. That's the Amazon, man. Amazon, man. I don't even know. It couldn't be nothing in here. I think this is just a mouse pad. It's for my desk, something like that. I don't know. Shout out to Miss Lady J. I appreciate you, baby girl. Let's see what else we got going on out here. Streets. Purple Haze is in the building. Purple Haze says, "What up, AD? I sent you an email with a link on Muslims creating peace in O Block. It will be something positive in the shot. Look into it, big dog." Okay, I'll check it out. I don't think that you can create peace in O Block, but it is what it is. Jawan Hart says, "You mean the stores you steal from are closing?" Aww. That's what David Chappelle said. Pass a love offering. Shout out to my dog Brock. I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you for holding me down. ABJ's wise, strong, and safe says, "Thank you, everyone, for your prayers. My aunt ended up stabilizing, and now she's at home." Don't sit here and tell me that prayer don't work. You're not going to sit here and tell me that prayer don't work. You're not going to sit here and tell me that the prayers that we sent up fall on deaf ears and they fall to the floor. It says, "Where 2 or 3 gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of thee." We don't all have to be in the same space at the same time. All we got to do is just be on one accord. You can't sit here and tell me that our prayers ain't answered. Shush. He just said it. That's a real life testimony right there. That's a real life testimony right there. Telling me that our prayers don't work. That's why I pray when people say this. When people in the Chasers is in the chat and they say, "Anton, this is going on," we stop what we doing and we send up a prayer immediately. Immediately. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, there he is in the midst of thee. In the midst of thee, right there. Tell me that prayer don't work. You better miss me with that. Timeout says, "Anton, you need 1 gold tooth to go with your tilted hat and push down glasses." I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you for holding me down. Also, hey, says, "What up, Ton? Sent another coaching call email out. I got a game plan I want to see through this year, but I got to have your input on it. Also going to be binging all of your Patreon content starting today." Hayes, make sure, because you've had multiple different calls with me, make sure you saying you're doing a follow-up call. In your email, make sure it's a follow-up call, not just a regular call. Shout out to my dog Hayes. ABJ, and stay away from that hoe that I was telling you about on that coach. Don't let that hoe get you in no trouble. Yeah, you thought I forgot. I know who my people are. I don't just coach people in general. I pay attention to them. I build relationships with my people. ABJ's wise, strong, and safe says, to quote Nipsey Hussle, "Where the money at? Grinding all my life, sacrifice. Hustle pay the price." Evolved CA says, "Just had that happen in my fam grandma's house, sold before the new year. It was unlivable. And it is in prime real estate. Location itself will grab another $40,000 once the buyer's complete." I might have been the buyer. You never know. Rod Jones is in the building, says, let me see what Rod Jones says. "Leave Unc alone, Anton. He was player back in the day. You better recognize game. This is old 60, 70 swag with shell toes and my Adidas. I know Unc better get a mile up the road over to that grocery store and get his groceries. I know that's for sure." Fi Brown says, "Cracking up at the old people impression. Man, these people need help, Fi. These people need help." And my dog Eric Daniels just came through and he said, "Listen, Ton, I got that 5 ball for you. I got 5 on it." Shout out to Yuck Mouth. And also shout out to my people. Shout out to my people and the twins, the Wonder Twins over there on their YouTube channel. They did a phenomenal stream. Yeah. Hayes, you said don't worry, she been done. Well, don't be checking her Facebook account either. Yeah, see, you thought I wasn't paying attention. Hayes, you thought I wasn't paying attention to the fact that don't check her Instagram, don't check her Facebook account, block her. Don't check her Instagram and don't check her Facebook account. You got that? You think I wasn't listening? I was listening. I was just not paying attention to that bullshit you were saying. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's continue on with the show. The mayor, Chicago Mayor Mohawk, calls Abbott as he talks to Al Sharpton, who was protesting on behalf of Claudine Gay at the Harvard firing or resignation. Mayor Mohawk says that Governor Abbott is evil. Evil. Make sure you tab into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's continue.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Mayor Mohawk and Big Head, the bobblehead protester, is talking on MSNBC. Hey, hold on. Before I get started with this segment of the show, I got a question. Is MSNBC that liberal leaning? I thought MSNBC was a little liberal, but not 100% liberal. I thought that they were a little bit more up the middle of the road versus CNN. I know CNN is 100% liberal. I know Fox is 100% conservative. But I thought MSNBC wasn't going to be as liberal. I thought that they were a little bit more up the middle of the road. But I guess not, since they got Al Sharpton on here talking to Mayor Mohawk. But let's continue. It's turned into a Sharks fin. He trying to round it off a little bit more. Okay, let's go ahead.
Show. Let me go right to it. The Chicago Tribune reports more than 630 buses have arrived in Chicago and the Chicago area in the past 16 months from Texas alone, carrying nearly 30,000 people in need of food, shelter, and a new life. What response did you get from lawmakers as you discussed this deepening crisis?
Well, thank you, Reverend Al, for having me on, and Happy New Year to you. Look, we have this international crisis that really requires federal intervention that local government is being asked to subsidize.
Very
local
liberal.
Government is not designed or built to handle such a crisis. And since I've been in office, we've had well over 500 buses show up in the city of Chicago. In fact, closer to 600 now. Over 855 flights that have come to Chicago. And now the governor of Texas is now chartering private planes landing in the city of Chicago and the surrounding area with migrants coming up from the Central and South America in particular. The governor of Texas is committed to causing chaos. And what I've done over the course of my first 8 months in office is work to bring some structure and some coordination around this mission. Like you said, 30,000 migrants have come through the city of Chicago. Right now, we have 15,000 migrants that I am sheltering in 27 different shelters. Roughly 4,500 children are in our Chicago public schools. We are providing health screenings. We are providing vaccination for migrants. And of course, we are working towards work authorization to place these families onto sustainability. But again, this mission is not.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? They're working towards work authorizations. Now remember, I want y'all to go back to the original problem with this whole situation in the first place. I want y'all to go back to, because look, if it wasn't for Greg Abbott, and Greg Abbott is the face of it, but Arizona is sending stuff over. Florida is sending out, anybody except for California is basically chartering everything that they can to get migrants over to wherever it is that they want to go, right? Now, remember, we got to go back to the core, the root cause of this whole thing. And Biden specifically said, I will not. I know you don't believe me. You don't believe me because you only want to see it one way. You only want to see it one way. Let's go up to this one. We'll use this one. Hold on. Let me show it to you. Because you don't believe it, you don't believe in it, and you don't understand what's going on. And so you going to say that Anton is out here capping when he ain't. Anton ain't capping.
Trump campaigned on build that wall. Are you willing to tear that wall down?
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration.
Now, unless that was some kind of AI bot or something like that, he said out of his own mouth,
there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration.
He said out of his own mouth, before he even got elected and before he designated Kamala Harris as the border czar. Now, see, I have a long memory, so I don't forget. I know that it's easy for y'all to get distracted because they're going to put something in front of y'all and they're going to say, oh, man, abortion rights and, all of this. And so, A, he backtracked by saying that we needed to build another piece of border wall. And then B, he picked Kamala Harris as the border czar. So when you see Mayor Mohawk on here and he's talking to Al Sharpton, right? And they're saying, well, it's Greg Abbott's fault for us designating ourselves as sanctuary cities, and him and Eric Adams was running around and they were saying, hey, send them here. We got you. We'll take your poor. We'll take your sick. We'll take every single piece of migrant that you can get up here. And then when they start flying them in private and sending immediate buses and stuff up there, then you got mad at him and now you want to call Greg Abbott evil because you haven't been sharing in the pain that Texas and Arizona and Florida have been experiencing for an extended period of time. And so now you want to sit up here with Reverend Al Bighead, Al Bobblehead up here, and then you want to complain about the fact that, oh man, we didn't really know what we was getting ourselves into. Well, this is exactly what happens when you put yourself in a position and you advocate for something and you stand on party lines instead of standing on what's best for the people that voted you into office. So let's continue to move forward. We're going to move forward a little bit to where he was. We don't want to extend this any longer than it have to be.
You. Look, we have this international crisis that really requires federal intervention that local government is being asked to subsidize. Local government is not designed or built to handle such a crisis.
None of the government is.
And since I've been in office, we've had well over 500 buses show up in the city of Chicago. In fact, closer to 600 now. Over 855 flights that have come to Chicago. And now the governor of Texas is now chartering private planes landing in the city of Chicago and the surrounding area with migrants coming up from the Central and South America in particular. The governor of Texas is committed to causing chaos. And what I've done over the course of my first 8 months in office is work to bring some structure and some coordination around this mission. Like you said, 30,000 migrants have come through the city of Chicago. Right now, we have 15,000 migrants that I am sheltering in 27 different shelters. Roughly 4,500 children are in our Chicago public schools. We are providing health screenings. We are providing vaccination for migrants. And of course, we are working towards work authorization to place these families onto sustainability. But again, this mission is not sustainable without the support of the federal government. And so my conversation with the Illinois delegation is, one, to make sure that we actually have an appropriations funding to actually deal with this crisis. Two, work to expedite work authorization. And quite frankly, Reverend Al, what we need is a nationwide coordination to be able to address this crisis.
No, it puts a tremendous burden on.
The goal is to get them work authorizations. That's the way that they think that they're going to solve for this. They don't plan on sending them back. They don't plan on holding the federal government accountable. They won't say Biden's name because Biden is the boogeyman to these boys. You already see what he got going on over there in New York with Eric Adams. Yeah, Biden is the boogeyman. And under no circumstance will they ever say anything. Now, they'll call Greg Abbott the devil, evil-spirited, sue them. They will not, under any circumstances, ever go against King Biden. And they're getting them work authorization to ultimately deal with and replace you. Because once they get work authorization, there is no limit to what's going to happen.
On you and other Democratic mayors, I might add, many black mayors has been the focal of this. In fact, on Thursday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams filed a $700 million lawsuit against 17 charter bus companies who transported migrants from Texas. What are your thoughts about the case, and is this an action you would consider taking as well?
Well, look, you're absolutely right about the intentions of Governor Abbott. He is attacking democratically ran cities, and particularly cities that are being led by black leaders or leaders of color.
Oh, so I guess Denver don't count. Look. When they have nothing else to lean on as far as their failed policies or designating themselves as sanctuary cities and saying, bring them to me. You know what black people do? I'm going to be honest with you. Even the politicians, they play the race card. Because he's sending just as many, if not more, over to Denver, where Mayor Mike Johnston, who was the whitest of the white men that you can find as a mayor in the United States of America, and because I'm familiar with it, I won't let them play the race card. And so what he's now saying is that Greg Abbott is racist. And so he's sending them to black cities. He's going to send them to black cities where they have black mayors is what Greg Abbott is doing. So I guess Mayor Mike Johnston was not on that call with y'all over to the federal government. It was Mike Johnston, Brandon Johnson, and Eric Adams that was all on that same call all together. So we got the race card. So it's a 3-level, 3-tiered step to running in the Victim Olympics. You ready? You ready? I'm going to let you play a little bit more, and I'm going to break down the 3 tiers.
This is unconscionable. It's a very raggedy approach, and quite frankly, not only is it reckless and raggedy, but it is evil-spirited. And so what we've done in the city of Chicago, I've passed an ordinance that calls for 3 things. One, that the state of Texas coordinate with the city of Chicago while buses are being sent to the city of Chicago. And so what we've asked is that the various cities apply for a permit, drop the buses off at one particular landing zone between the hours of 8 and 5:30, Monday through Friday, and then provide us a complete manifest so that we can better prepare for these migrants. And as you've indicated, many of them are coming to the city of Chicago and throughout the entire country in very desperate, dire straits. They just need so much support. There's no health screenings at the border, no vaccinations. There's not a very clear approach to how we actually put these families onto a pathway of sustainability. And so the ordinance that I passed, other cities around the city of Chicago have passed that ordinance, again, just to bring some structure and some coordination. I know Mayor Adams signed an executive order to do just the same thing in the city of New York. And as far as this particular lawsuit, look, I think we have to do everything possible to bring some coordination and some structure around this mission. Yeah. And absent the act of Congress to invest in this mission, again, our local economies will not be able to sustain this mission.
Let me tell you something, bro. Congress have not even funded the federal government. They don't even come back off of vacation until Tuesday. Congress don't even get back off vacation until Tuesday, so they can continue to kick the can down the road over funding the federal government that they've been fighting over for the past 6 months. 2024 is not even fully funded. They have not even agreed on a budget. They are fighting back and forth over sending money over to Taiwan for the semiconductor chips, over to Ukraine, and over to Israel. They're not concerned about what's going on over here in the United States of America, except for the $162 million they just sent over for the CHIPS Act. They have not at all, zero, zilch, nada, They have not even finished funding the federal government. They can't even agree on a plan. What makes you think that they care about continuing to send American dollars from the taxpayers over to Chicago in order to replace them? So I'm going to pay you to replace me in the jobs department.
Because the lack of coordination, as you raise in your ordinance, I've seen where when Mayor Adams in New York made particular specifications in terms of time drop-offs and all with these buses, they just dropped them off in New Jersey. And I saw clips where you talked about they dropped some migrants off 100 miles away and told them they were dropping them off in Chicago. So there needs to be some real coordination here. Let me go to this. Your new budget includes a significant amount allocated towards improving social services for low and working class people in Chicago, and notably $500,000 for a new panel that will study whether and how the city should pay reparations to Chicagoans who are descendants of enslaved African Americans.
He been listening to Umar Johnson. Listen. Chicago is in a deficit. And when I say a deficit, I mean a deficit. They're begging the federal government for money. Remember when they did this over in LA and everybody was out there at that meeting and it was fighting inside of there and everybody was arguing and yelling? And California is literally in a $68 billion deficit because all of the 1% that pays 50% of the taxes inside of the state is moving away. Chicago is in a budget deficit, don't even have enough money to take care of themselves. And they're allocating $500,000 over to study for reparations for American descendants of slaves. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Isn't this... Yo. I thought that Chicago was going to do the right thing going into 2024. I thought that the goal was to get off of my radar and no longer make Anton bring y'all to the front of the congregation. But I see we're going to be doing this up and through 2025. Mayor Mohawk allocated $500,000 of the COVID relief funds to go over and study for reparations for American descendants of slaves. Okay.
Can you talk a little about how the reparations study will work?
Look, absolutely. You spent some time in Chicago and you know the history of the civil rights movement and the city of Chicago. As we prepare to celebrate the life and the legacy of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., he came to the city of Chicago fighting for housing, fighting for public accommodations, and his words still ring true today. If we can figure it out in Chicago, we can do it anywhere in the world. And that's the impetus behind this study. Look, black folks have been stuck at the margins for generations. I've been a part of social movements working alongside of you and, of course, Reverend Jackson. Schools have been closed in the city of Chicago throughout the country. Health clinics have been shut down throughout the city of Chicago. In my budget, I do a couple of things. I reopen mental health clinics, and we stand up a brand new office for reentry. Individuals who are returning from jails and incarceration, we are standing up an entire office to make sure that we're investing in these families. This is very much part of the legacy of the new Jim Crow. And so this study for restoration and reparations is really to right the wrongs of a very, very evil, bad past. And as Dr. King said, we're going to figure it out in Chicago and be a model for the rest of the country.
Yeah, and I remember when I was younger, it was not even talked about. Now you have Chicago, you have California, the governor of New York just signed for a study. Reparations is no longer a marginal issue.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is what's happening. This is what's happening in your federal government and your local cities. They throwing money at the wall. They're not actually solving for the problems. It's carjackings every day. I just got something inside of my inbox this morning that said that another Uber driver just got carjacked this morning over in Chicago and another kid just got killed. And they got migrants, and they've allocated monies for migrants to continue to take over, and then they're working on feverishly getting them work permits so that they can then take over the jobs and do the jobs that's inside of your cities that should be allocated for the people that want jobs. But they don't call out the real issue. They continue to be mad at Texas for dealing with them accordingly. And then they now are sitting here playing games with y'all in order to keep themselves in office by promising to do a study. Listen, what exactly is this study about? Think about this for a minute. So you got to spend $500,000 to do a study on reparations. Okay. I'll reserve my perspective, and then we'll continue this conversation, because no need in, trying to make sure that we solve all of it in one show. We got all year, ladies and gentlemen. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Will the CNA says, shout out to my governor trying to make my state a little safer. Don't mess with Texas. Chess moves. I will say that Texas is quite possibly one of the best ran states inside of the United States of America right now. That's a fact, though. JP says, except for Houston. That's where y'all get a B+. Y'all get a B+ because Texas is being ran beautifully, but Houston is a POS right now. That's why y'all don't get a perfect score. Because of Houston. Houston is a redheaded stepchild inside of Texas. One day, I'm going to really, really go off on Houston, but I can't right now because I got Mayor Mohawk and Bobblehead Sharpton that continues to give me content on a regular basis that the people want to see. JP says, how can you allow something to say it's a crisis? Well, if they say it's a crisis, then that means that they can control all of the funding and where the money's is going. They don't have to go through the city council anymore. Elo says Chicago is evil-spirited. F you mean. You know what I'm saying? Nurses Ain't Nice says, something clicked. Become my own federal government? There's something I'm missing to make it be personal and bring it all full circle. I'm almost there. I can feel it in the air. Shout out to Nurses Ain't Nice. Little Black Duck is in the building. 2001 says, having done corporate sales, if I answered, but how will this work question like Mayor Mohawk, I will be shown the door. That's a fact, though. ABJ's Wise, Strong, and Safe says, y'all can't even afford the migrant crisis, but you studying reparations? No, they getting charged the extra $30 million in order to just have staffing. We'll get there. Let's continue. Jonathan Majors. Shout out to Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is at the forefront of the congregation. Come on, stand up. Give your testimony, Jonathan. We need to know what the heck is going on out here. Just released a piece of the exclusive interview on Good Morning America, giving his thoughts on what happened during the trial and whether or not he is truly guilty. Make sure you give a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is something that we definitely going to be dealing with on the Q show tonight. Even though Q is still a little bit on vacation, the Q show tonight, we definitely going to be digging into it. Let's get into it, y'all.
Now, our ABC News exclusive with actor Jonathan Majors. Lindsay, you sat down with him.
Yeah, this is Majors' first interview since he was convicted of misdemeanor reckless assault.
All right, she kind of cute, though. Before we get into Jonathan Majors, whoever this sly cute woman is, we got to check her elbows and her knees, though. You know how we do over here at the Millionaire Morning Show. Let me not get distracted. I know Connie and Trap and Slay and Azriel and all of y'all going to be on my hand. Anton, you can't be getting distracted. Stop talking about all of the women. Okay. Let's continue to go.
Assault and harassment, and there's really a lot to unpack here. He calls the 2-year relationship with Grace Jabari toxic, dangerous, and unhealthy, but he is adamant. He says there was absolutely no physical abuse.
I told you, time isn't what you think.
Less than a year ago, the name Jonathan Majors was followed by talk of critical and box office success, skyrocketing fame, even Oscar buzz.
I'm coming for everything.
But this morning, a different conversation surrounds that marquee name.
something about sitting here right now and looking at you and understanding the gravity of the situation. A situation that I, in many ways, put myself in.
The actor spoke exclusively with ABC News for the first time after being convicted in late December for harassment and misdemeanor reckless assault in the 3rd degree, which could carry a penalty of up to a year behind bars.
Why did you decide you wanted to talk now?
I felt like it was time.
Yeah, because the trial is over. You didn't think that you was going to get convicted. But guess what? You F around and found out. Yeah. See, Jonathan Majors, let me break it down from a C student's perspective of what he's really trying to communicate to you guys. Here's the truth. He thought that he was safe. He realized that he needed to take a red pill, A, and then B, that society holds men accountable no matter what. Society will hold his bell bottoms. You see he got on them blue jean bell. First of all, flag on the play for the blue jean bell bottoms. I know that we got a whole lot of different styles that's happening outside in these streets. I know that y'all wearing crop tops and blue jean. Look, fam, flag on the play for styling choices. You cannot wear blue jean bell bottoms as a man under no circumstance. I don't care how often it comes back into style. I don't care who makes it. No blue jean bell bottoms on the show. That's number one. Number two, as I was saying, society holds men accountable no matter what. Megan obviously couldn't fix that style choice. Society holds men accountable no matter what. That's a fact. That's a fact. Men are going to get thrown under the bus and they're going to be held accountable. And so he didn't know what he didn't know, but you found out today, because not only do they hold you accountable as far as making sure that you go to jail for a year, but also you're going to lose all your money that goes along with it. Let's continue.
A lot has happened in my personal life, in my career.
Well, hold on. I'm going to play this over. Let me rewind it to the blue jean bell bottoms part. Society also has no mercy. And I need y'all to really hear me. Ladies, turn it up. If you in a church, turn this up. If you in a daycare, turn this up. If you riding in a truck, turn this up. If you on a job, turn up your earphone, your earpods. If you listening to this in your cubicle, if you watching this while you working from home, I need y'all to understand this definitively. And I am not playing no games. If you a black man and you don't have no mustache, oh, they coming for you because they think that you're weak. If you ain't got no stash, man, and you wearing blue jean bell bottoms, they don't care how much iron you pumping in Creed. They don't care if you was the man that had all of the chisels and all of that. If you ain't got no stash, man, they don't look at you the same. They think that you weak. If you ain't got no stash, man, they coming for you. You can't walk out there with no big lips and no hair between your nose and your lips, and you think that that's going to play out in front of the people. That ain't happening. I'm going to tell you what your father should have told you. Nigga, you sitting out there talking proper with your hands in your lap and them bell bottoms on. And I'm a huge Jonathan Majors fan. I think that he is one of the best actors ever. But if you sitting here talking proper and you got white teeth and no mustache, okay. No hairline, you fit the narrative of every single black person that I was with in private school. All of the black people in private school, they had no lineup. Their fathers kept telling them to cut off their mustache and make sure that they clean face. And they had weird styling choices. I'm telling you, look, guys with no stash have no lineup. They don't have a lineup. Have y'all noticed that? Guys with no mustache don't have no lineup either. They don't have no real structure to their hair. You're never going to see a nigga with no stash again the same way as you seen him, as I just told you. You're never going to see him the same way as you did before. No lineup, no stash, no style. No lineup, no stash, no style. It's a fact. None of them. It's like a, hey, when God was born, when God started dealing with these dudes, he said, listen, give them the mannequin look. Give him the mannequin. Make him look like a mannequin.
Happened in my personal life, in my career.
Look, no hairline.
In the culture. It's about
Zigzag.
responsibility and coming forward and being brave and giving my part of the story.
Your reaction to that verdict?
Shock. I was absolutely shocked. And
where's the line?
Afraid. And I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
But after only hours of deliberation,
you telling me they trust that man and he don't have no structure to his hair? He went in there and he got a taper and didn't get the finished product on the sides and the front. He didn't even get the spray. And you ain't got no mustache. And he was shocked. I wasn't shocked. When I seen him come through that courtroom and he was walking with Megan, I said, that boy is going to be found guilty even though he innocent. He more innocent than any innocent black man that I've ever seen before. But he had the starter kit. He had a white woman, no hairline, no mustache, talk proper, went to school. This is the prototype black man that is universal. This guy can go in any room and anywhere in the United States of America and be accepted. You didn't think that he was going to be found guilty because they got to make an example out of men in general. There is no more American man than this man right here. This man could play any role on TV. He can play a slave. He can play King the Conqueror. He can play the villain in Creed. He can do anything. He can do anything. This man can do anything. Except run away from a white woman. You could forget it. You can forget it, buddy. And you disrespected black women. So black women turned on you. The justice system turned on you. And then black men don't trust you because you ain't got no stash, man. Black women turned on him because he was with a white woman. And when he was running from the white woman, they said, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. Black men don't trust him because we don't trust anybody that ain't got no lineup or no stash because we don't know you, man. The justice system just seen him as a man. So you're going to be guilty. You guilty before you even go to trial because you guilty just by association of being with men because we live in a feminist society. So of course you should have been scared, but you shouldn't have been surprised, Johnny.
a jury of his peers agreed with prosecutors that he did physically injure his then-girlfriend Grace Jabari in an incident last March.
What happened exactly? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But she's unconscious.
That 911 call from Majors came hours after an argument broke out with Jabari in the back seat of an SUV when Majors received a text from another woman saying, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you."
Forget it, buddy.
Jabari testified that when she grabbed the phone, Majors tried to get it back, fracturing her finger and giving her a cut behind her ear.
Is it possible that she could have did that herself too? Because, I mean, she sure did go to 2 other parties, according to what the document said. They said that she went out, partied, she was on camera, jumping up and down, having drinks at the bar.
She says inside the car, you hit her in the face, twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger.
Yeah, that did not happen.
Of course it didn't
How did
happen.
those injuries come about?
I wish to God I knew.
Say she did it to herself.
Clarity. That would give me some type of peace.
She did it to herself. You still playing nice.
You're confident you didn't cause
I have no
them.
question.
Surveillance video shows Majors getting out of the car, followed by Jabari, whom he then puts back inside the vehicle.
I would have just said
what happened?
That hoe did it to herself. Did you see me running? I ran the same way that I was running in the sand in Creed. I ran the same way as I was running in the sand in Creed, and this woman was chasing me. She's chasing me.
Next is what the defense remains focused on. Majors runs off, and Jabari chases after him.
If you watch those videos and you reverse that, and you saw a black man chasing a young white girl down the street, screaming and crying, that man is going to be shot and killed in the streets of New York City.
No, don't you play your black card now, buddy. Don't play your black card now, buddy. Listen, women was more offended at Jonathan Majors for saying that he needed him a Michelle Obama or a Rosa Parks or whatever it was. He say no, he didn't say Rosa Parks. He said what was the other woman that he needed? He said you needed him a Michelle Obama or y'all gonna tell me inside of the chat in a minute.
Major's defense team shared these photos, which he says show the injuries he received that night, which were deemed inadmissible in court.
How were you injured?
My injuries were, I had a scratch on my hand, from clawing for the phone. And I had a gash on at the time I had a beard. Under my beard, I had essentially a fingernail scratch on my cheek from pressure. And that bled.
Coretta Scott King.
The prosecutors say Majors was the aggressor. District Attorney Alvin Bragg says.
Yep, Coretta Scott. He said he needed him a Coretta and a Michelle Obama. And black women said,
The evidence presented throughout this trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse. In court, prosecutors pointed to a previous argument during which he knocked a candle to the floor.
Not saying that he did anything guilty. It's a guilty face. Listen, Jonathan Majors, and again, Jonathan Majors is somebody that I love and support. Jonathan Majors is the type of guy that brushes hair backwards. I don't trust no man that's black that brushes hair like this. Now, I don't want y'all stealing my jokes. I don't want no comedian going on stage talking about I don't trust no man that brushes hair backwards. No, don't go out there stealing my jokes because I'm a Cat Williams you. Jonathan Majors is the type of guy that Jonathan Majors is the type of dude to brush his hair backwards. And don't steal my stuff. I say too much material on this show. Y'all just steal. Y'all steal all my stuff anyway. Yes, you do. Type of nigga to brush his hair backwards. I know that type. He is the type of man to brush his hair backwards. He got 3 strikes against him. You ain't got no stash. You don't line your hair up and you brush your hair backwards? Okay. All right. Guilty, boy. They gonna throw you up under the jail. Coming in the court with brushing your hair backwards, talking proper. Okay.
I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground. That's not something I would want my child to do. And I did that. I absolutely did that. And felt terrible about it.
The prosecution also played audio Jabari had recorded earlier in the relationship where Majors encouraged her to act more like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama.
I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world.
I agree.
That is actually the position I'm in. The woman that supports me needs to be a great woman.
There are some who question, especially in the black community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and
white woman? Go ahead and say it.
And Michelle Obama.
It was me trying to give an analogy of of what it is I'm aspiring to be. You know, these great men, Martin, President Obama, and trying to give a reference point to that. One of the things I also say is, like, I need her, in that case, Grace, to make the same sacrifices that I am making.
In a statement to ABC News, an attorney for Jabari said in part, "It is not at all surprising that Mr. Majors continues to take no accountability for his actions," adding, "The timing of these new statements demonstrates a clear lack of remorse for his actions."
Do you feel you're not responsible for her injuries at all?
I shouldn't have been in the car.
That's true.
I shouldn't have stepped out of the relationship. I shouldn't have been in the relationship. If I'm not in the car, none of this is happening. If I leave the relationship, none of this is happening. If I'm man enough or brave enough to say, I want to see somebody else, or I'm done now, I'm not in that car.
That's the only thing that Jonathan Bell-Bottoms said that made sense in this interview. Not the reference point, not none of that. Nobody gonna care about that. The only thing that he said that made sense, and he's only saying half of what he's supposed to say that makes sense in this interview. The only thing that he said that made sense is that I should not have been in that car. I should have never been with that hussy to begin with. I should have never, ever got with a chick that got with me on a set of a movie that I was shooting for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Messed my life up. And then women want to come in my comments and say, Anton, you so bitter towards women. Why are you telling these men to be by themselves? No, I'm telling them to make informed decisions, exercise dick discipline, and to be rich. And don't throw away your whole life risking it on a woman that was on a set of Ant-Man and the Wasp with no butt, flat back. You risk it all for a flat back. You ran away from a flat back. Chick that's for the streets. I don't know no woman that I could trust named Grace in the first place. Every old school woman, honestly, and this, listen, this is just me personally. Don't take it personal. This is my own personal experience. Every older woman that was a friend of one of my aunties that was named Grace, bad news, buddy, was burning up their husband's clothes, crazy, and kept on coming to talk to my aunties about what it is that they ain't gonna take no more from their husband, and they went right back to him. Every single woman that I knew older that was named Grace was full of the devil. That's a fact, though. That's a fact. Every woman that I can remember that was named Grace was full of the devil. Full of the devil. Full of the devil. So, oh, you gonna name yourself after what God gave us, huh? Okay. I know your type. I know your type. You ugly, evil. And every time she would talk to my auntie and she would reference her husband, she would do like this. Every time that she would talk to my auntie and she would reference her husband, she did like this. I said, she must have got that from the original Color Purple. When Whoopi said, everything that you do is gonna fail. I said, that hoe is evil. I didn't even want to be in the house when she came there. I said, where's the olive oil? Get this chick up out of here. Let me read some of the super chats and then we're going to continue over with the show. Miss Lady J in the building says, you and these news, I don't know what I got for these newscasters. I don't know what's up with these news. I don't know. They do something. Whoever recruiting these newscasts, oh God, Jesus, Lord, don't let me fall victim. Don't let me ever catch if I ever get into a scandal, don't let it be with a newscaster. I'm going to pray about that tomorrow morning. Lord, remove the newscasters from out of my view. Don't let these female newscasters get me caught up in a scandal in my future. Wall Street Gaming says, keep doing you, brother. Shout out to Wall Street Welch Street Gaming is in the building. Latrell Emma's in the building, says, like Stone Cold said, don't trust anybody. Yeah. Woo! Rod Jones is in the building, says, wait. No stash, no bell bottoms, no lineup, and no white woman confused. Huggy Bear, listen, don't be confused. Don't be confused. Listen to what I'm saying. Anonymous Knowledge Seeker says, that man got a great clip special with that. He thought he was being price conscious. Don't diss him. Don't diss him. Rod Jones says, too late, Anton. I already stole your joke about a minute and a half ago. My bad. Don't Cat Williams me. Y'all can steal a joke. Okay, go ahead. Listen, I'm a creator. I'll figure it out on the fly. All right? Let me see what we got next going on. Oh, we got to get to the money. I'm going to get to it. We got to get to the money first. I know you saying talk about the housing market or whatever. Okay, I got you. But we got to get to the money. Got to get to the moolah, baby. It's a lot of layoffs that's happening, specifically in California, because of the new minimum wage law. It's not just Pizza Hut, y'all. It's not just Pizza Hut. It's happening across the board. Layoffs are everywhere. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
The minimum wage is taking a big jump to $20 an hour for fast food workers employed by big chains here in California. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Marcella Lee is off tonight.
I'm Jesse Pagan. While supporters say the move is a long time coming, others say this new law could end.
Hold on. I ain't never seen two men sit at the newscaster's desk. We got diversity, equity, and inclusion at the newscaster's desk now. I'm not even used to seeing this. Listen, the way that my brain works, y'all, if you new here to the Millionaire Morning Show, we look at things a little bit differently and we use our context clues before we start having a conversation. I ain't never seen two men at the newscaster's desk. Got a purple and green tie on, turquoise. This looks very, very fruity. It looks odd. I'm not used to, the first thing that I do is I try to figure out, okay, well, what's the Instagram? What's the Instagram of that young lady that's sitting over there to the left? I just look at her. I look at her elbows. I look at her neck. See if it's a little tighter because you could tell how old a woman is because they got Botox and stuff now. So you can tell how old a woman is by her neck. Because they don't usually get Botox in their neck. That's how you can tell how old a woman is. Y'all keep saying black don't crack. Look at that whole neck. Yeah, look at that. Look at her neck. If you want to tell how old a woman is, look in this area. Not in this area, not on her forehead, not in her ears. She dyed her hair. She keeps saying 50 is the new 20. Look at that whole neck. This is weird. This just caught me off guard. Straight off, right off the bat.
End up hurting many of the workers it's intended to help. CBS 8's Richard Allen digs into this from both sides.
And this major boost to fast food workers' minimum wage here in California is set to take effect in April. But already some fast food chains like Pizza Hut are responding by cutting jobs.
At first I was more like, really? After I leave, they decide to do this?
San Diegan Noah Davidson Mendiola recently quit his job as a shift worker at McDonald's. He's in full support of this move to raise fast food workers' minimum hourly wage to $20 an hour.
I'm both happy because fast food workers really don't get paid enough to deal with a lot of the situations, but it's also like, come on, you should have done this a long time ago.
And while this pay hike applies to fast food businesses with more than 60 locations nationwide, some analysts believe it will spur other businesses to follow suit.
Everyone else has to match, right? Because if you can work at McDonald's or Starbucks for $20 an hour, why would you stay at the kitchen at Olive Garden or
McDonald's, Pizza Hut, all of these places. Now, the way that they did it is they didn't say, well, if you have more than 50 or 60 locations within the state, they said if you got more than 50 or 60 locations as a company, whether you franchising or not, nationwide. Now, how did they then put the rest of these businesses at a disadvantage? Because if you then get at a fast food restaurant or they have a bunch of locations and then they say, okay, well, you got to pay this high school worker or anybody that comes in here a minimum of $20 an hour. He just described it. What happens is you then create an economy where everybody got a match, because at the very least, people are fighting. I never thought I'd be saying this in my entire life. People are fighting to get in Jack in the Box, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Burger King, KFC, Starbucks. People are literally fighting to get inside of these locations that are innovating and laying people off. And so now you create a whole cascading effect, because it's not just the mom and pop spots. People that are working in plants, or people that are doing much harder, difficult jobs that may start off at $16, $17, $18 an hour, are saying, why should I be here? And I could just go and work at McDonald's. I could go and take that high school kids. Man, look, I seen a video where people were putting together their resume in order to make sure that they're not too qualified to become full-time over at McDonald's. People are basically saying, yo, I'm about to go and get me a part-time job at McDonald's, and hopefully they'll hire me full-time. They don't even want a manager's position. They don't want none of that. So now, if you do something that's a lot harder or more productive, or if you're a construction worker or you ain't got no experience, they are forced to match at the very least, if not more, because you can't just say, well, we paying $20 an hour too. Oh, skip that. I'm still going to flip burgers. That's easy. I'm going to go and be on the fries. I'll take lettuce. I'll go work at McDowell's instead of McDonald's now. Coming to America. Some of y'all ain't seen it. I'm going to go work at McDowell's instead of McDonald's now. So it's two things that's happening. First, there's a cascading effect, because it creates a situation where other businesses can't compete anymore, even though that cost is being passed over to the consumer from the business itself. So you're going to continue to see rising prices, and then prices across the board for everything else is going to go up, which then makes that $20 an hour job is really still $12 an hour. It's still $12 an hour, because all of the prices and inflation continues to go up in order to keep pace with the prices that's being passed over to the consumers. Because they're not going to take a loss. They'll lay you off. They'll do more with less. They'll raise prices, pass it over to the consumers, but they're not going to take a loss. And the second thing that's also going to happen is you're going to basically prevent innovation within the state or those businesses, or you're going to prevent people from coming over and opening up their business over in that part of your country. Over in California, they'll say, well, we'll open up everywhere else around it, but we won't actually open up any ones inside of California, because we don't want to be subjected to what's going on there.
Or even at Walmart.
But not everyone sees this particular move targeting fast food chains as the right one.
I wouldn't say I'm particularly in favor of it, but I understand at the same time that a lot of these people just can't afford to live here.
Dale Young is a retired small business owner. He believes more needs to be done to stabilize the overall economy, and not just this particular sector of the labor pool.
It's a Band-Aid. I mean, when is it going to stop? I mean, is next year they're going to raise it to $25 an hour?
It's never going to stop. How do you know that it's never going to stop? Because we have history, and we also understand finances and how money works in economics to substantiate and draw a conclusion to our argument. Give me an example, Anton. Okay. Remember just a few years ago that was protesting for $15 an hour? Oh, y'all forgot about that. We did plenty of shows where they were protesting. Give us free. Give us free. Give us free. And they protested for $15 an hour. And then the unions over there at the automakers, what we was just covering right before the end of the year, and they got what they wanted, and they got, all the way up to what, $42 an hour or some crap like that, right? And then right after they got it, they started doing layoffs across the industry, and they slowed down innovation, research, and development, and then they started laying off white-collar workers, and they start offering buyouts to people that's already been there for an extended period of time. And now it's $20, and then it's going to be $25, and then it's going to be $30, and then it's going to be $35, and it's going to be $40. And guess what? You're never, ever going to be able to get what they call livable wage, because those jobs were not meant for you to be able to survive off of. It was meant to either bridge the gap or to give experience to people that was first coming into the workforce. That's number one. And then B, Money, the cost of being able to live is going to continue to go up, and so you'll never be able to protest your way over into being successful. You have to get a tangible skill that people will pay you above whatever the standard rate is or the minimum wage is in order for you to then grow within this economy. It's the only way.
He also points out that this mandatory pay increase will force some businesses to cut jobs to maintain their bottom line. Case in point, Pizza Hut, which has announced it will lay off more than 1,200 delivery drivers at hundreds of franchises across the state before this new law takes effect. Its parent company recently told Business Insider our franchisees independently own and operate their restaurants in accordance with local market dynamics and comply with all federal, state, and local regulations, while continuing to provide quality service and food to our customers via carryout and delivery.
And for more information on this and other new laws that are taking effect here in California in 2024, just go to cbsa.com.
New year, more pay. California workers must now earn at least $16 an hour as part of the new minimum wage. Action News reporter Brianna Willis joins us now to share how these pay raises affect both employees and local businesses.
So the minimum wage in California is $16. If you have more than a certain amount of locations nationwide, the minimum will then become $20.
Donna?
Well, Warren, while 50 cents more per hour may not seem like a lot, the business managers I spoke with say it affects all of their operations. On top of that, for fast food restaurants, another more significant pay hike is just less than 4 months away. But workers groups say this money is needed as more people rely on these jobs to make a living.
With the new year, California's minimum wage is notching up from $15.50 to $16.
Look at this guy. Now look at this guy right here, right? Look at this guy right here. Nothing wrong with working. Have no problem with it whatsoever. But he's basically cutting meat. That's either a meat or a cheese. You can cut meat or you can cut cheese with that. Looks like he's cutting cheese actually, right? So we use it a lot of times in the restaurant business to cut corned beef. We might use it to cut cheese, all of that, right? And this guy is making at minimum $16 an hour for an automatic meat and cheese slicer. $16 an hour for an automatic meat and cheese slicer. Nothing wrong with the fact that he's working. As long as you're not doing nothing illegal, I'm cool with it. Do you know how much meat and cheese that you got to sell in order to be able to justify paying somebody $20 an hour? I'm being honest. Listen, you do know that restaurants were some of the, not just restaurants, but just opening a business alone, let alone restaurants. You do know that they are some of the most difficult businesses to break into and be successful. You can have a line outside the door and it does not guarantee you to actually be successful when it comes to being in a restaurant business alone. It's so hard. It is very difficult, especially when you build in a brick and mortar. Especially when you're doing brick and mortar. It's very, very, very difficult. You got so many costs and the margin for error is thin and slim. And you're making it more difficult for businesses to then be able to stand up and compete. And they all basically going to be fighting for the slice of the pie. And the only people that's going to survive is the people that then figure out how to leverage AI, automation, to do more with less and have less people inside of the businesses. So now what I see happening is most places that are opening now, they're not opening locations where you can come in and sit down, unless it's that type of place where they got service-based. And in those service-based places, prices are through the roof. Through the roof. But most places that are opening now, either they're completely shutting down the inside of their location and just doing complete drive-through, or they're building them as drive-through locations to where you don't have to have a whole lot of people to staff in there in order to be able to run the business.
An hour.
When it comes to raising the minimum wage, we're just trying to keep people afloat.
Dylan Savory, executive director of the Central Labor Council, says they advocate for laws like this to help people who cannot fight for themselves.
We see that employers are not always willing to look at their books and give their employees the most that they can possibly afford. So it's our job to go and supplement that with good policy and make sure that families can afford their housing, afford their groceries, afford their basic
From a bunch of people that don't know
Local businesses
business.
say the pay increases can be challenging to keep up with.
So it's kind of causing us to have to increase our menu prices as well as find new ways to limit labor.
He just told you the two things that they're doing. The owner of these restaurants and businesses, because most of them are just mom and pop spots, they doing two things. They not hiring, and they lowering the amount of people that it take in order to do the job, and they figuring out how to cut costs. And then they're raising the prices ever so slightly over and over again in order to pass it over to the consumer, because you're going to have to pay for the people that they wind up keeping. He literally just told you what I've been telling you. Oh, okay, well, we got to raise prices, which basically raises inflation. We got to raise prices, and we got to pass that over to the consumer, and then we got to limit the amount of people that we can hire going forward. That's basically what he just said. Let me rewind it for you.
Local businesses say the pay increases can be challenging to keep up with.
So it's kind of causing us to have to increase our menu prices as well as find new ways to limit labor just to stay profitable.
Now, when you get back to us as a company, are we going to have to raise prices? Yes.
Raicelis Cardenas, general manager at Chiba Hut in Northwest Fresno, says they just ordered new menus since prices have to rise. But in addition, he thinks they will need to cut shifts.
It's definitely limiting our available labor hours.
At Chiba Hut and other fast food restaurants, there's another law, AB 1228, raising the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour later this year.
We can't pass on a 10 to 15% price increase to our guests. It's not fair because those are our family, our friends, our community.
Chris Stubner says he's lived in Fresno for decades and owns Wendy's and KFC locations here, so the increase is personal when he has to charge more. He says that ends up costing them a lot more than just $20 per hour.
We pay workers' comp fees based on our payroll dollars. We pay other insurance based on payroll dollars. We pay taxes on that payroll dollar that a lot of people don't see. So it's not just $20 an hour that we're going to have to raise our prices. There's going to be a lot of behind the scenes.
Stubner adding that it's crucial now more than ever to support local businesses.
We have to look at all options just to survive at this point.
And a lot of people don't take that into consideration. They don't understand the true cost of business. But you have a lot of people protesting in legislature that don't even realize that you are going to be making less, even though they're going to be paying you more. And that's unfortunate. And so there is no end in sight. It's going to continue to go up. It's going to continue to suffer until they legislate themselves out of businesses opening in California, because nobody is going to want to do business where they can't be profitable. It's a lose-lose situation for everybody. But I don't know, man. I don't know. What do I know? What do I know? I'm just reacting to it, and I'm just giving you the insight. Let me read this real quick. AVP Design LLC says, I just joined a Patreon, and I'm already making great connections. Definitely worth it. If you have not joined the Bag Chasers and the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. It is one of the best investments that you can make for yourself in 2024, bar none. Shout out to the Chasers. Oh, should I tell y'all how many Chasers we got? I should tell y'all how many Chasers we got right now. It's a lot of us. A lot of people don't understand how big the Chasers are. A lot of people don't truly understand how many Chasers we got up in the building, but we got a lot of them. I have right now we have 4,730 Chasers. And so somebody obviously see value in what we got going on over in these streets. 4,730 Chasers is in the Bag Chasers. I'm just telling you. That's a fact, though. That's a fact, though. We sold out on seat at the table, sold out on early adopters. The only thing that's left is exclusive access. And so if you are not a part of the Chasers, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. All right? Yes. Yes, we are chasers. When I say I have the best, by far, the best Patreon on the face of the planet, there is no competition. There is no competition. If you want to align yourself with the best group of people on the face of the effing earth, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. All right, let's continue. We're going to get to the money. Last segment. All right. Why can't people get out of the rat race? Why have we become such a nation of spending?
More than half of Americans with an income of $100,000 a year or higher say they're living paycheck to paycheck. This may be the result of a sneaky behavioral phenomenon called lifestyle creep.
Lifestyle creep is the common pattern of making a little more money and starting to spend a little bit more money. It happens almost automatically.
I think people hold these benchmarks in their mind. If I reach this position or I get this promotion or I make it to this age, then I can live this life, or then I deserve to have these things. And then they kind of go a little crazy or go a little wild on it. And then it becomes like a trade-off. Like they only can enjoy their present happiness and they're not able to save or plan for the future.
There's nothing wrong with wanting nice things. The mental, emotional.
Stock Club is this weekend, Nate. Stock Club is this weekend on Patreon.
Reason why we want to acquire.
Is that our budgeting coach? Wasn't we having a conversation about budgeting coach Sabrina Allen? What was that? Last week before last, something like that? Neither here nor there. We'll get there.
Is generally rooted in this need for like your perceived value. Like we live in a world where like the nicer car you drive, the higher your perceived value is.
6 out of every 10 people surveyed said that paying for everyday expenses negatively impacted their mental health.
It does take a lot of joy from just life.
Hey, paying my bills negatively affect my mental health. Me too. Me too. Paying my regular bills regularly affect my mental health too. What either we incredibly coddled and we just don't understand, or we incredibly spoiled. Which one is it? Either we spoiled or we coddled. Either we spoiled or we coddled. Which one is it?
And always being in this scarcity mindset when there isn't necessarily a scarcity to fear.
Here's why Americans feel like they're constantly struggling to keep their paycheck, even when they start making more money.
Say you get a new job and you have a little bit of a pay bump. Suddenly there's a little more room in your budget. Maybe you do some small upgrades, like you eat out rather than cook at home, or buy those Taylor Swift tickets, or upgrade your music subscriptions. Anything like that is an example of lifestyle creep. It's just these little upgrades that are very hard to undo financially or even psychologically once you've made them.
A lot of people have this scarcity mindset around money, and they spend so much of their lives saving. And so there can be this point where if you're constantly saving your whole life and then you finally reach this marker of financial success, or you finally reach this big paycheck number, you feel like you finally deserve to enjoy your life.
The idea that people save and they just hit a point where they feel like they deserve it, I fully disagree with that. Most people don't have $1,000 in the bank. Like most people cannot handle a tire blowout, or they're gonna put it on credit. There's no financial literacy, no financial education that happens. The average person does not think about lifestyle inflation at all.
Let me clear something up for a lot of people in the back that don't understand what being successful looks like financially. You cannot save your way to being rich. You cannot save your way to being rich. Anton, why is it so marketed to us to save? Well, one of the reasons that it's marketed to you to save is because that's what the banks convince you to do. You think that you came up with this idea on your own, or you think that some financial guru gave you this idea on your own. You cannot save your way to success and wealth. You cannot. It's impossible. You will not even beat the rate of inflation, meaning that the value of your money is going to continue to go down as you put it in to the bank. Well, why did the bank convince us to do that? Because they can loan out more money based off of how much they have in deposits, which then allows them to make more money. It's the idea of a bank. A bank basically consolidates a bunch of people money to validate making more money by loaning you out money, and then you convince yourself that it makes more sense to use other people's money to make money, and you out here looking stupid because you don't know how to. You just lost your house because you didn't really know how to invest properly. Well, Anton, why would I lose my house because I'm using other people's money? Because you scale too fast and you don't know what to do when you then find yourself in an emergency. When I seen the rent moratorium happen, I knew that it was going to be a problem. And it was going to be a problem first for landlords and then secondly for renters. Because people were not going to catch up. They was not going to start putting money into paying off their student loans, right? And then most people that own real estate, they don't own it outright and then they leasing out their properties. They had to go over to the bank and then ask for some form of a forgiveness. How do I know? Because I work at a bank. And then the banks had to basically allow for you to forego having to pay the rent or the mortgage because they wasn't over there paying the rent. And you didn't know how to vet for a tenant effectively. And then now that the moratorium is ended, at the end of 2023, you see record people getting evicted over in Phoenix, Atlanta, and all across the United States of America. And they have a backlog of evictions inside of the courts to try to get you up out of their properties because you ain't been paying rent for a long time. Well, in most instances, you're not even able to go to the bank. The bank is going to say, oh, you can't pay for your property? I'm taking it. So no matter how much equity you have into it, you thought that you was going to cash for the property until the people stopped paying rent, and then you didn't have enough income that you was generating outside of that in order to cover for the problems that you was dealing with regard to the tenants. So not only was they not paying rent, but you also had to file court documents. You also got to redo the property and get it prepared for somebody else to come in there, hoping that they pay rent also, and then you have zero, zilch, nada protection against it because every single law, especially in these liberal states, are there to protect the people that's in the housing, not the people that's actually paying for the housing. And then the banks convince you to get a 30-year mortgage. You think that you're going to make every single payment on time in 30 years. It's people getting foreclosed on and losing their houses every single day. Nobody and no financial gurus talk about that. Nobody talks about the property taxes that you fall behind on, the mortgages that you fall behind on. And so regardless of how much equity you built up into it, you then give all of that over to the bank. Or you give all of that over into the county that you live in. Then they auction your stuff off. I come through, I swallow up all of the properties, and then I take them over with no mortgage whatsoever, and then I put them out there and I have no exposure to risk. And I actually broke this down in a much deeper level inside of the Patreon on a video that I released this weekend at the site of the property that I'm building with no bank financing. Zero bank financing. I don't have exposure to the market. I'm not worried about whether or not the prices is going to go up and down in the interest rates because I have no inherent risk that come along with financing a property while you sitting there talking about using other people's money because you don't really understand what's going to go on with regard to it. So while DJ Envy and all of them was over there trying to convince you and giving you access to hard money lenders with crazy interest rates, what was really happening was they was positioning you to get your stuff to. Because people don't understand how money works. They don't.
I think it's something that's not even on the average person's radar.
Coming out of the pandemic, there was this strong desire to go out and splurge on experiences, maybe take...
Let me move this forward a little bit.
About spending a little more than we should. That can feel like rebellious or bad. And it often can be a reaction to our family culture around money or parentified or internalized rules around what we can give ourselves. And some people might overspend as like revenge against these rules, and some might look at someone who's overspending and think and kind of label them as all bad or all good. And there can be a lot of guilt and anxiety around the consequences. Spending is a way for us to meet one need when another isn't met.
I was 19 years old when I entered my first corporate job. I was still figuring out how to adult as well as how to be.
Those lines. And then there is lifestyle creep that's more like regular everyday things that if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're going without, like going to the dentist, getting oil changes on your car, right? There was a time in my life when oil change was just like not even a priority. Like I'm trying to keep tires on my car. I'm trying to keep it running. I'm trying to keep the registration paid. I'm not concerned about an oil change, right?
More than 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck as of September 2023. That, along with inflation, can have serious financial consequences. Many Americans also don't have emergency savings to fall back on. 63% of workers say they wouldn't be able to cover a $500 emergency expense.
Yeah, they will. You know how they're going to do it? Payday loans. That's how they're going to do it. That's how they're going to cover an emergency expense. Going to the payday loan. Payday loans. That's how they're going to cover it. You know why it's important for you to get into marriage? You know why marriage is important? You know why marriage is a great business decision? A lot of people focus on marriage and they say, oh man, I don't want them to take half of my stuff. Well, if 63% of people can't even afford $500 of an emergency, how they going to take half of nothing? How they going to take half of nothing? What, they going to take your $250? You know why marriage, why people tend to be more successful, especially men, once they get married? If they are successfully married. Let me add that as a caveat, because just getting married is not enough. It's actually taking advantage of making sure. And you know why this whole narrative and this conversation around, well, I just want to sit at home and be a stay-at-home chick, don't make sense? Because the whole idea behind marriage is that you're pooling your resources together to eliminate expenses. So listen, we don't have to pay for separate houses. We can live under one roof and then consolidate our expenses in order to make sure that we maximize the amount of money that both of us are bringing in together, so that we can create the space in the nest egg that does not allow for you to have to go to work every day for the rest of your life. That's the whole idea behind getting married in a general sense. Now, we've perverted it. We've changed it. We've modified it. The whole reason why the government wanted you to get married is because they wanted to incentivize you to do the thing that's in your best interest, so that you can spend more money on experiences and the American dream, and you can afford to buy houses and all of this stuff, but you want to do it on your own, independent, even if you don't get married. Let's break that down. Even if you don't get married, don't you realize that us as a society, we then look down on people that have roommates? We look down on people that have roommates. Why do we look down on people that have roommates? All they doing is cutting costs and splitting costs. Oh, so if you live with somebody, you broke now. You a broke boy. You little hoe, I see you sleeping on that air mattress in that place that you can't afford, acting like you bougie and that you rich. You ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting it. You pay your car note 29 days before the late fee, because you know that 30 days late, that then result as a ding on your credit. So now you paying a late fee every month. You paying even more, and you can't even afford to get your oil change. You broke. Stop trying to look down on men and you ain't even getting it yourself. Everybody out here struggling. Everybody trying to figure it out. Everybody is one step away from losing everything, even the rich guy. If he have bad deals that go bad for an extended period of time, he going to be right back in that same space as you. So instead of us being smart and consolidating our resources so that we can then become more successful, we got to make sure that we impress people that don't even care nothing about us. You can front load this contract. It's just like an MLB contract. You can front load it or you can back load it. Either way, you loading. Because you can front load it and you can say, give me all my money up front, or let me do what I want to do up front, or let me mess up my life up front, but then you got to pay for it on the back end. Or you can do the thing that you're supposed to do now so you can do what you want to do for the rest of your life. But we too prideful. You can't be prideful and broke at the same time. That's an oxymoron. Pride and broke don't go together. Pride and broke don't go together. You got to pick a struggle. You're going to have to pick one and endure through it so you can do what you want to do for your rest of your. You can't be prideful and be 63% of people that are working today ain't got $500 to cover an emergency. I ain't never seen no broke person. Actually, the majority of the people that I see got so much pride be broke.
You know, there's that saying, being poor is really expensive, because then when it is time to get basic maintenance on your car, it ends up being way more expensive than you were planning on it being, because you haven't done basic maintenance.
And that can go well beyond car trouble. 46% of Americans said they have a balance on their credit card because of an emergency expense, according to a creditcards.com survey. 10% coming from car problems, 11% to cover unexpected medical bills, and 10% for home repairs.
And 50% for Christmas gifts and vacations. And 50% for going to Vegas.
Inflation.
And taking that chick over the roof, Chris. That shouldn't have been there in the first place.
And higher prices nearly across the board. People have been having a harder time making ends meet, and often that means turning to credit cards to fill in the gap between what you need to buy and what you can actually afford. Credit card rates are over 20%. That's the highest interest that you'll likely find anywhere unless you're getting a payday loan. Credit card debt can really spiral out of control, and pretty quickly.
The solution to get what you need when you're in a position when you don't have it, it really is to just make more money. It sounds like a simple solution, but it also sounds like a condescending one, right? You tell.
Tim Stepney says the airports do be packed, don't they? Don't they? If 63% of people can't afford a $500 emergency, why is the plane so full? Why is traveling at an all-time high? Why are everybody's focusing on experiences instead of focusing on making sure that they stack their bread up so they can invest in things that actually make sense for them?
Somebody who is doing the best that they can, that they need to make more money. The solution to make more money isn't really realistic.
We don't need to find a balance part. You don't need no balance. You don't need no balance. You don't need no balance. You need to sit your butt down and figure out how to do stuff for free. You need to sit your butt down and figure out how you can do something for free. Go online and look up things to do for free. I have never gotten so many text messages and DMs from women than I have right now. I know I know that it's a recession. I know it's a recession. I know for a fact it's a recession. People that's supposed to be associates, just people that's cool. Oh yeah, we met at the museum, or we was all in the same spot at the time. We supposed to do business together. Oh man, you a consultant for that particular company? Oh, okay, take my information. All of a sudden into the new year, I'm getting text messages that say, so what do you like to do for fun? What do you mean what I like to do for fun? You want me to answer that question in real life? I'm looking to catch me a scandal, girl. What's your schedule look like? What you mean what my schedule look like? I'm busy getting money. Random women. I put it on my father's grave. I put it on my father's grave. I have never got so many text messages that have nothing to do with business in my life. Never. So what your schedule look like next week? For what? What you need? I'm just checking on you, seeing how everything is going. Oh, yeah? Hey, you want me to bring you something? I was going to be over there that way. I can bring you something to eat. Word? I don't blame y'all. Azriel, you said unbelievable audacity. That ain't unbelievable. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Why wouldn't you shoot your shot? You should be going for yours. This is the best way for you to come up. If you get me, you get me. But I got to get got first. I got to get got first. Here, come here, girl. What's that, Anton? It's nothing. Just a little confidentiality agreement, NDA. I go over there and sit on that black couch. Let me just finish this paperwork real quick. I pull out my phone while she's doing it. So you consent to being recorded while you're signing that, and you consent to every single thing that happens on this black couch. Absolutely. All right. Then we'll talk about what it is that I like to do for fun afterwards. Boy, you so crazy. Coming in here talking about, can I take my coat off? Not yet. Let me get that paper. Hey, get the paperwork for me, please. Can I take my coat off? Not yet. Leave that coat on, girl. Let me get that paperwork real quick. Did you sign page 2? Initial sign and date page 2, please. Let me read this super chat and then we're going to continue. We're going to go on. I'm going to get y'all up out of here. I'm just playing. Don't worry about it. Nate 2 times says, any update on Stock Club? Yes, we're doing it this upcoming Sunday. I had to clear some space. I had to finish recording the video that I dropped in the Patreon last week. I'm so stupid. And then we gonna go from there, y'all. So Stock Club is this Sunday. We're gonna do it once a month, and then we're gonna keep it pushing. Good question, Nate. Larry Summers says, what's all the cameras for? A movie? We shooting a movie in here. Larry Summers says, crazy since I put 60% of my money in investments, 40% into the shares of my corporation, and 20% into my hedge fund. Congratulations. Yeah. Women gonna shoot their shot. Listen, women are aggressive. I think women are more aggressive than men. That's a fact. Jamal Fowler says, happy Monday, Time Dog. Happy Monday to you too, my friend. And the Wealth Building Journey is in the building. Wealth Building Journey says, hey, big head. DMs, rest in power. KS, winter is coming. Winter is already here. Listen, winter is going to be here even when it's summertime. You think that the rent man going to stop asking for his rent? Yeah. I can't wait to get me a scandal. E. Sean Dixon says, is it cheaper to build than to renovate properties? It depends on what you purchased the property for. This has been very expensive for me. I need to see what my appraisal price is going to be after I finish the property, which should be in less than about a month and a half. But it's also been expensive to me because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I paid a lot extra for a lot of different things and for the knowledge base. I probably spent more, probably $30,000 or $40,000 more than I will on my next property, at least. Probably more closer to 50. And so I've learned a lot during this build process. I'm still learning, but that's one of the reasons I do it, so that I can pass the knowledge off to you guys on the Patreon. And I'm gonna do a whole recap. A lot of y'all seen the process that I have been making, and I did a mastermind session and a breakdown of what I've been spending on the property so far. And then I released the video this past weekend breaking down the 3 ways that you can make money inside of real estate and how I use it. And then probably within the next month and a half, I'm going to do a whole breakdown and report of what it cost me, what I went through, mistakes I've learned, things I could have done differently, the whole 9 yards, and what I'm going to apply to the next property that I've already pulled permits for and the third property that we're building out right now. So, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about building costs, lumber prices, contractors, electricians, roofing, plumbing, working with different cities, permitting processes. For example, one of the things that I'm going to break down inside of the Patreon is which cities you can get the exact same price for your property, but the permitting process is really literally 50% less. So the first property that I built was in a really prestigious city and West Bloomfield of Michigan. A lot of y'all are familiar with West Bloomfield of Michigan. And just to pull the water and connect to the street and all of that and all of those permits, That was like 11,000 over there. But then I went into another city that's still in Oakland County that's doing really, really well, and I'll probably get a similar appraisal value. But the permitting process was only $6,000 for the exact same thing. So it's a lot of costs that you can save, and it's like death by 1,000 cuts in a way, because when it starts to add up, then you'll start to, really understand exactly what your true costs are. And I use a certain accounting software just for that, and I'm going to break that down inside of the Patreon also. But great question, Isham. I appreciate you. Strike King Sneakers and Apparel says, bro, you be cracking yourself up. Man, I love what I do, bro. I love what I do. I love getting on here every day. It is so fun. I love talking to y'all. Which reminds me, make sure that y'all tune into the Q show tonight. We will be cooking up, and we're going to be going and deep diving into different opinions about Jonathan Majors, Cat Williams, everything that's been going on in the last week, and then breaking it down from a relationship perspective and getting different people, women and men, on the panel that can give their insight. Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. It is going to be an awesome, awesome week and an awesome, awesome year. Let me see what you just said. Give me a second. Greg Charlie says, I'm on the Patreon and the Discord, and I'm not sure where to find info for the stock club. I'm posting an actual live stream on the Patreon this week about stock club that we're doing on Sunday. So more information is going to be posted this week about stock club on Sunday. I dropped the video about real estate this weekend, and we going to the stock club this weekend coming up, or past weekend, and we going to the stock club coming up. All right. So listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you, Greg Charlie, for the Patreon and super chat. Shout out to all of my bag chasers, all 4,000 plus of y'all. We want 5,000 to 6,000 members by the 6 month mark. All right, 5,000 to 6,000 by the 6 month mark. And we want to continue to only have people that's going in the direction that we going in. And we're going to be releasing the travel dates for the meetups and the tour that we're going to be doing. And it's going to be absolutely awesome. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Again, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Shout out to you, Trap and Slade, Jawan Hart, all of my people. And then make sure you get that Teach Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. You guys are the greatest audience on earth. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace. I don't know who's going to be on tonight, AR Smitty. I have no clue. Q is still a person that do all of the recruiting. I just get up there and do what I do. All right? I love you. I appreciate you, big dog.